You're probably going to fail your interviews because you're not preparing properly. And I'm going to be very blunt about that, very, very firm about that. You're probably going to fail. Why? I've had so many calls recently with parents, students who tell me their preparation for the interviews, and it's just like, oh yeah, I might just do some step problems, I might just do some MAT, maybe the TBO problems and stuff. But it's not a structured plan, and it's just doing problems. Now that is like the not worst preparation. Worst preparation is doing nothing. So I guess it's better than nothing. But that's only going to get you so far. That's going to maybe make you a better mathematician, and I'm all for doing more problems. But specifically for preparing for an Oxford and Cambridge interview, you need to do more. So, what is the first thing that I would recommend for you to do? Is get used to talking about maths. Get used to talking like a mathematician. So, using phrases that mathematicians do. And you'll be really surprised with how difficult that this is if you've never done it before. And to do it well, you will not be able to do it well straight away. I can promise you that. It does take time, it takes reps, it takes hours of lots and lots of practice of you doing this. So, what's the basic level? The first thing that you can do is take a step problem, let's say, solve it on pen and paper first. Make sure you really understand it. Now, one thing I've said before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it a million times, to ensure that you understand something, it's not just about being able to read it and go, yeah, I understand it. To really understand it, you have to be able to teach that to someone else who hasn't seen that problem before. That is how you can understand. That is a measure of if you can understand something. And we'll discuss this later on as well. But solve the problem on pen and paper first, and then take a video, take your phone camera, and just talk through the problem. Or maybe if you want to do it with your camera facing your piece of paper so you can see the writing as well, or whatever, do it on an iPad, on a virtual whiteboard, whatever. But explain through the solutions and start with a blank page. You have to also write at the same time. That's the first thing, like the first level of decent preparation for interviews. There's a few more levels to this. By the way, if you are looking to prepare for your interviews, I'm running an interview preparation program. So I'll leave a link in the description below where you can book in a call with me and see if that would be a good fit for you. Anyway, once we've done that, once you get quite good at doing that, at taking a problem, solving it on pen and paper first, then hitting record and solving it, then you can up the ante by then doing a problem blind. What do I mean by that? Taking a random step problem that you've never seen before and hitting record at that moment. So you don't even have a chance to tackle the problem straight away. And you just get this problem here and you go, okay, cool, right. And this is going to be harder. But guess what? In the interview, you don't get to see the problems ahead of time. So you just got to get used to this feeling of being uncomfortable, like, oh gosh, there's problems in front of me, and now I need to also talk about it at the same time, and I need to make sure my thoughts are logical and stuff. Yeah, it's difficult, but you're going to require practice to get good at it. And so what I would say is do exactly that. Take a step problem, take an MAT problem, take whatever problem, and take it, put it in front of you, and then start talking to the camera. And then what you want to do is watch it back. It's really important you watch it back. Not necessarily straight away, maybe a day after, so you have some time to kind of forget about it and lose your, kind of disconnect yourself a bit with that problem. And then look back at it and be really, really critical. Does your explanation make sense? Is it easy to follow? And remember, it's got to be very, very easy to follow. Of course, the interviewers are really, really smart. They're much smarter than you are, much smarter than I am. But the crucial part is being able to explain things well. So you got to almost explain it as if they were idiots, and so that they can understand your reasoning and your arguments as well. So be really critical with yourself. Are you explaining things well? Could you have explained things better? And if there's things that you could have explained better, make a note of them. The next day, hit record again and do the exact same problem again. You have the benefit of having seen the problem before, but then you're going to be consciously thinking, okay, cool. Once I've solved part two, I need to remember to say this fact, or I'm going to use this following theorem before I do things. Also, if you can, if you have someone, a good friend who maybe isn't looking to study maths at university, but maybe they know enough like A-level basic maths to kind of get by, send them the videos. If they want to help you, they can do. They can send them the videos and ask them to be critical. Did they understand it? The issue with that is normally with your friends, they'll kind of just maybe, say what you want to hear kind of thing. So it's not always going to be useful. If you have teachers and stuff, do the same thing with them. Say, hey, Mr. Jones, can we please on Friday afternoon spend lunchtime? I want you to give me a problem, and I'm going to try and explain it to you on the fly. And they can try and give you some feedback on how you presented your ideas and your thoughts. That's a really good way. Now, what's the third level to this? And that you can kind of do this yourself, and but I would recommend getting other people involved, is getting people to ask why. Remember, an interview is not a one-sided conversation. It's going to be majority you speaking and you solving a problem in the Oxbridge interview. However, it's also going to be them maybe chiming in and giving you some hints, or if you get stuck, maybe pointing you in the right direction. They may also give you some follow-up problems, or say, "Oh, well, have you also considered this? What happens if this happens?" Oh, and those sorts of things. And so, one way that you can do that, if you don't have a maths teacher or friends who'd be willing to help, when you're doing these explanations, when you're looking at a problem blind, every single line of argument, imagine someone, the interviewer, asks you the question why. So if you explain an equation or say, okay, I'm using Pythagoras' theorem here, imagine they say why. So I would obviously respond by saying, oh, well, because it's a right angled triangle. But ideally, I don't want to have to wait for them to ask me why. I need to motivate that. So I would, instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to use Pythagoras' theorem, I'd say, oh, well, since this is a right angled triangle, I'm going to apply Pythagoras' theorem. Now, obviously, that's a very simple example. Your interview isn't going to be just about Pythagoras' theorem. I wish it was, but that's kind of the idea. You want to ensure you motivate your ideas as well. So if you're going to use Pythagoras' theorem, before you even touch on, solving, applying the Pythagorean equation, you want to say why you'd even be interested in it. Why are we considering this equation? Because that's something that someone would ask. They'd say, well, why are you considering that? And so you want to motivate your ideas as well, because if you can motivate it, it makes it much easier to follow, it makes you sound a lot more like a mathematician, but also it means that the interviewer is less likely to ask you why. But also, if you kind of preemptively answer the question, well, why am I doing Pythagoras' theorem or whatever, you're basically kind of you're showing that you have the skills to empathize with someone who doesn't understand, which is a really crucial skill in forget math, just critical thinking, and also just general communication as well. Anyway, that's kind of my advice. So if you're preparing for the interviews, you need to have, as I say, that top tier is getting used to talking about math under pressure and getting quick fired asked questions about what you're saying, maybe people asking why and whatnot. Now, if you haven't done any preparation whatsoever, well, start. Click off this video, click off YouTube, chuck your phone in the corner, start. Take a step problem, solve it, record, go back to step one, and then slowly work your way up this ladder to the point where by the time it gets to interviews, hopefully you've done enough reps, done enough hours, that you can then answer questions on the fly, explain it really well, so that someone who is going to be a pain and keep going, well, why is that true? Well, are you sure about that? Well, what happens if that's true? Remember, you're going to be pretending to explain it to an idiot. If an idiot can't understand it, you haven't explained it well enough. If you can't teach something in maths, you don't know it well enough. Those are some things that is really, really harsh, but that discipline is going to get you into becoming a very good mathematician, smashing the interviews, and living your future at Oxford and Cambridge, and going on to live happily ever after, whatever. Anyway, I'll leave a video on screen where I give you some more advice, more specifically general advice for the interviews. And as I say, if you are looking for some additional support regarding the interviews, do click the link in the description below.